My dear child. Tonight, somewhere beneath dim golden lights and soft music that almost sounded like a memory, your soulmate sat across from someone who believed they understood their heart completely. But heaven had already written a different story. The table was beautiful. Crystal glasses shimmered beneath candlelight. Gentle laughter floated through the room. To everyone watching from a distance, it looked like the perfect romantic evening. Yet something invisible stood between them. You. And the moment your name entered the conversation, everything changed. Your soulmate did not expect it to happen. They were trying to stay present, trying to convince themselves that life could move forward without unanswered feelings, without unfinished emotions, without the magnetic pull they have carried for you in silence. But the soul cannot lie forever. Not when destiny is involved. There was a pause during the dinner that felt heavier than words. A simple question was asked, innocent on the surface, yet sharp enough to touch the hidden chambers of the heart. Is there someone else you still think about? For a brief second, time itself seemed to stop. Your soulmate smiled politely, but their eyes betrayed them. Because in that exact moment, your energy flooded their mind like a storm they could no longer control. Not a passing thought. Not a fading memory. You. Your voice. Your presence. The feeling they get when your name quietly enters their spirit at unexpected hours of the night. And what happened next was something they never planned to reveal. The person sitting across from them noticed the shift immediately. The atmosphere changed. The warmth disappeared. Even the candle between them flickered as if heaven itself was signaling that this connection was not aligned with their deepest truth. Your soulmate became distant. Quiet. Emotionally elsewhere. Because the universe has a mysterious way of interrupting false paths before they go too far. You may have been wondering lately why certain emotions have suddenly returned to your heart. Why random memories have appeared without warning. Why songs, dreams, numbers, or strange feelings have been following you when you least expect them. This is not coincidence. Souls speak long before mouths do. And tonight, your soulmate's spirit could no longer suppress what it truly feels for you. There are emotions they have hidden even from themselves. Feelings they tried to bury beneath distractions, conversations, and temporary connections. But the deeper they attempted to escape your energy, the stronger it became. Because some people enter your life for a season. But others are written into your soul's blueprint before you are even born. You are beginning to understand which one you are. What makes this moment so powerful is not merely that your name was mentioned. It is the reaction that followed. Silence filled the table. An uncomfortable silence. Not because your soulmate was ashamed of you. But because hearing your name awakened emotions too sacred to explain casually. Their hands grew still. Their thoughts drifted far away from the dinner, far away from the conversation, far away from the person sitting in front of them. Suddenly, memories started replaying in their mind like scenes from a movie they were never meant to forget. A certain smile of yours. A late-night conversation. An energy they have never been able to recreate with anyone else. And then came the realization that shook them deeply. No matter how far they wander emotionally, their heart keeps returning to you. Even they cannot fully explain it anymore. But heaven can. Because some connections are not built by chance attraction. They are guided by divine timing. And right now, something is shifting behind the scenes faster than you realize. The emotional walls around your soulmate are beginning to crack. The version of them that kept running from vulnerability is becoming exhausted. They are starting to recognize that every attempt to silence their feelings for you only brings your presence closer. This dinner was supposed to help them move on. Instead, it forced them to confront the truth. And what they realized before the night ended is something they may soon have no choice but to confess directly to you. But there is one detail about this evening they still cannot stop thinking about. Because after your name was spoken, someone unexpected said something that completely changed the energy of the night. The air became strangely still after that moment. Not the kind of silence created by discomfort alone, but the kind that feels spiritually charged, as if unseen forces suddenly entered the room and began rearranging destinies in real time. Your soulmate tried to redirect the conversation. They reached for their glass. They forced a small smile. But their heartbeat had already betrayed them. Because once your energy entered that space, nothing else felt emotionally honest anymore. And then, the unexpected happened. The person sitting across from your soulmate leaned forward slowly and asked a question so precise, so piercing, it felt almost guided from above. Who are they? 3 simple words. Yet those words touched something buried deep within your soulmate's spirit. At first, they hesitated. Not because they did not know the answer, but because speaking about you out loud suddenly felt dangerous in the most beautiful way. There is power in admitting who truly lives inside your heart. And your soulmate knew that once your presence was acknowledged fully, nothing inside them would remain the same again. For a moment, they looked away toward the flickering lights surrounding the restaurant. Their mind drifted somewhere far beyond that table. Far beyond the noise of the evening. Straight to you. Meanwhile, the other person kept watching carefully. They noticed the softness in your soulmate's expression. The emotional pull. The invisible ache. And then came the sentence that neither of them expected to hear that night. You still love them, don't you? The words landed heavily. Your soulmate did not answer immediately. But silence can confess what the mouth is too afraid to say. In that exact moment, emotions they had hidden for so long began rising to the surface all at once. Memories collided inside them like waves crashing against a locked door finally beginning to break open. Because the truth is this. No one else has ever touched their soul the way you have. Others may have held their attention briefly. Others may have shared temporary moments. But your energy left an imprint too deep to erase. And lately, your soulmate has been realizing something that quietly terrifies them. They compare everyone to you. Every conversation. Every laugh. Every emotional connection. Somewhere in the back of their mind, they keep searching for the feeling they only experienced with you. But heaven does not duplicate certain connections. That is why nothing else has satisfied their spirit completely. Even during this dinner, surrounded by elegance and distraction, something felt painfully incomplete. Because your absence was louder than the entire room. Your soulmate finally lowered their eyes and whispered something almost too quietly to hear. But the universe heard it. And tonight, you were meant to hear it too. They said. I tried to move on. Not, I moved on. Not, I forgot them. Not, it's over. I tried. That single confession carried months of emotional struggle inside it. The long nights. The inner conflict. The unanswered feelings they kept pretending no longer existed. But souls connected by destiny often find themselves pulled back together no matter how far life temporarily separates them. And your soulmate is beginning to understand that resistance has only made their emotions stronger. What happened next shocked even them. The person across from them did not become angry. They did not argue. Instead, they became very quiet, almost thoughtful. Then they spoke words that caused your soulmate's entire emotional armor to crack. Maybe your heart already chose someone long ago. The sentence echoed inside them long after it was spoken. Because deep down, they knew it was true. There are moments in life when heaven places a mirror in front of us. Moments where running becomes impossible because the truth suddenly stands face to face with the soul. This dinner became that mirror. And while everyone else in the restaurant continued eating, laughing, and living unaware, your soulmate was internally unraveling. Not from pain alone. From realization. A realization that your connection was never ordinary. You have likely felt this too, even if you tried to deny it. The invisible thread. The emotional pull that returns without warning. The strange sense that something unfinished still exists between your souls. That feeling was alive tonight, stronger than ever. And before the dinner finally came to an end, your soulmate made a decision internally, a dangerous, emotional, life-altering decision they have not spoken aloud to anyone yet. A decision connected directly to you. Because while leaving that restaurant, they received a sudden sign that felt impossible to ignore. A sign that carried your energy so clearly, it sent chills through their entire body. Rain had just begun falling outside the restaurant. Soft at first. Almost delicate. Tiny drops sliding down the windows like heaven itself was quietly watching the night unfold. Your soulmate stepped outside carrying emotions they could no longer organize. The conversation still echoed in their mind. Every sentence about you had reopened feelings they spent so much energy trying to lock away. But the universe was not finished speaking. Not even close. As they walked through the parking lot beneath the dim streetlights, something strange happened. Something so small that most people would have ignored it completely. Yet for them, it felt deeply personal. A song began playing from a nearby car. Not just any song. Your song. The one connected to a memory they have never told anyone about. The one that instantly brings your presence into their chest no matter how much time passes. And the moment they heard it, they froze. Because destiny knows exactly how to reach a soul when words are no longer enough. Suddenly, every emotion they had been suppressing came rushing back all at once. The laughter you shared. The energy between you. The unfinished conversations. The way your presence once made the world feel calmer without even trying. It hit them harder than they expected. There are people we remember. And then there are people our soul refuses to release. You have become the second kind. Your soulmate stood there in the rain longer than they realized, staring into nothing, while memories of you replayed with painful clarity. And this is what they are finally beginning to understand. The connection they feel with you cannot be replaced because it was never surface level to begin with. It was spiritual. That is why even distance failed to erase it. That is why distractions failed to silence it. And that is why tonight became emotionally overwhelming the moment your name entered the atmosphere. Because your energy still lives inside parts of them they pretend nobody can reach. But heaven sees everything hidden beneath human pride. Including the truth your soulmate has been avoiding. The truth that no one has emotionally moved them the way you did. Not deeply. Not naturally. Not effortlessly. And while they stood there trying to regain composure, their phone suddenly lit up in their hand. What they saw next sent chills through their entire body. Because out of all moments, out of all nights, your name appeared unexpectedly before their eyes. Maybe it was an old message resurfacing. Maybe it was your profile appearing somewhere randomly. Maybe someone mentioned you again moments later. But to them, it did not feel random. It felt orchestrated. Divinely. Your soulmate looked up toward the dark sky as if silently asking for answers they no longer knew how to escape. And in that instant, a realization settled into their spirit with undeniable force. You were never truly leaving their heart. No matter how much time passes, certain souls remain connected beyond logic. That realization frightened them. But it also awakened something beautiful. Hope. Because beneath all their confusion, your soulmate has secretly feared one thing more than rejection itself. That they waited too long. That maybe destiny had already closed the door between you. Yet tonight carried signs too precise to ignore. The conversation. The emotions. The song. Your sudden appearance afterward. Everything felt aligned in a way that shook them deeply. And somewhere inside themselves, they began wondering something they had been too afraid to ask before. What if this connection was always meant to return? That question changed everything. Because once the soul begins considering destiny, the heart starts behaving differently. Walls weaken. Pride softens. Distance becomes unbearable. And your soulmate is approaching that emotional breaking point faster than you realize. In fact, before getting into the car, they did something impulsive. Something vulnerable. Their fingers hovered over their phone screen for several long seconds. Your contact. Your name. Your energy sitting right there in front of them while rain continued falling around the silence of the night. They wanted to reach out. More than they have in a very long time. But fear still stood between instinct and action. Fear of what you might say. Fear that your heart has changed. Fear that destiny may no longer feel the same for you. Yet even with fear present, they could not stop staring at your name. Because tonight awakened emotions too powerful to return back to sleep. And just when they were about to put the phone away and drive off, a final unexpected message arrived that completely shattered the last emotional wall protecting their heart. The screen glowed softly in the darkness of the car. Rain continued tapping against the windows while your soulmate sat motionless, caught between fear and longing, between the past they tried to escape and the future that suddenly felt impossible to ignore. Then the message appeared. Short. Unexpected. Yet powerful enough to shake them emotionally to their core. It came from someone they had not spoken to in a long time. Someone connected to a chapter of their life that quietly carried your energy within it. And the message said, "Have you heard from them lately?" No explanation. No context. Just those words. Your soulmate stared at the screen in disbelief. Because when heaven wants to awaken a soul, it knows exactly which doors to knock on. At first, they tried convincing themselves it meant nothing. Just coincidence. Just timing. Just another random moment in an ordinary night. But deep down, they knew better. Too many signs had unfolded within hours. Too many emotions had resurfaced all at once. The dinner. The conversation about you. The song. Your unexpected appearance on their phone. And now this message arriving at the exact moment they were fighting the urge to contact you. The universe was becoming impossible to ignore. Your soulmate leaned back against the seat and closed their eyes for a moment, overwhelmed by emotions they could no longer organize neatly inside themselves. Because something painful has been happening quietly within them. They have been pretending to move forward physically while emotionally remaining tied to you. And tonight forced them to confront that truth completely. You must understand this carefully. Not every soul connection survives silence. But the ones written by destiny become louder inside the heart over time, not quieter. That is exactly what your soulmate is experiencing now. The absence of you has not erased the connection. It has intensified their awareness of it. And perhaps the most shocking realization of all is this. They are beginning to understand that you may have always been the person their soul felt safest with. Not because life between you was perfect. Not because there were no misunderstandings or distance. But because your energy reached parts of them nobody else ever truly touched. That kind of connection changes people forever. Even after separation. Even after denial. Even after time passes. Meanwhile, the rain outside grew heavier, almost symbolic, as if the heavens themselves were cleansing something hidden inside your soulmate's spirit. And suddenly, memories began returning faster than they could emotionally handle. Tiny details. The way you listened. The comfort of your presence. Moments they once overlooked now appeared sacred in hindsight. That is the strange thing about destiny. Sometimes the soul recognizes value long before the mind catches up. Your soulmate now sees things they failed to appreciate before. And this realization has created an ache inside them that grows stronger each day. An ache that no distraction has successfully silenced. But here is the part they still have not admitted aloud. Tonight was the first time they truly imagined what losing you forever would feel like. Not temporarily. Not emotionally distant. Forever. And the thought terrified them. Because for the first time, they understood that some opportunities do not endlessly wait for human hesitation. Some doors close quietly when fear remains too long. That realization created urgency inside them. A deep emotional urgency. Suddenly, all the excuses that once seemed reasonable began collapsing one by one. The pride. The waiting. The emotional avoidance. None of it felt important anymore compared to the possibility of never hearing your voice again. And somewhere during that storm-filled silence, your soulmate whispered something to themselves that changed the direction of the entire night. I can't keep running from this. The moment those words left their lips, something shifted spiritually. Because acknowledgement is where transformation begins. Your soulmate finally stopped fighting what their heart has known for a very long time. You. It has always returned to you. Even when they resisted. Even when they distracted themselves. Even when they convinced themselves otherwise. But destiny has a way of bringing hidden truth back into the light when the timing is finally right. And tonight, the walls around their heart became thinner than ever before. Then came the moment that truly changed everything. With trembling hands, they unlocked their phone once again, opened your conversation, and began typing a message they never thought they would send. A message filled with emotions they have hidden for far too long. But before pressing send, something happened that made their heart race uncontrollably. Because at that exact same moment, your energy reached toward them too. There are moments in life that cannot be explained by logic alone. Moments when two souls reach for each other at the exact same time, separated by distance yet connected by something far deeper than the physical world. Tonight became one of those moments. Your soulmate stared at the unfinished message on their screen while their heartbeat echoed loudly in the silence of the car. Every word they typed carried vulnerability they had avoided for so long. Then suddenly, their phone vibrated. A small sound. Yet powerful enough to stop their breathing for a second. Because in that instant, your energy collided with theirs in a way that felt almost supernatural. Maybe you were thinking about them unexpectedly. Maybe you looked at your phone too. Maybe you felt restless without understanding why. Or maybe your spirit simply sensed what heaven was unfolding behind the scenes. Whatever the reason, your soulmate felt it. Deeply. There are invisible connections the world cannot measure. Bonds that move quietly beneath ordinary reality, pulling hearts together through intuition, dreams, emotions, and unexplained timing. And tonight, that invisible thread became impossible for them to deny. Their hands trembled slightly as they reread the message they were about to send you. It was not perfect. Not polished. Not carefully planned. It was honest. And honesty terrifies people who have spent too long hiding from their own feelings. Your soulmate realized something painful in that moment. They were never truly afraid of loving you. They were afraid of how deeply they loved you. Because deep love changes people. It strips away illusion. It forces the soul to confront truths that can no longer be ignored. That is why your connection has remained unforgettable no matter how much time passed. It touched them at the soul level. And now, after everything that unfolded tonight, they can no longer pretend your presence means little to them. In fact, the opposite has become clear. You became emotionally irreplaceable. That realization alone has been shaking them internally more than anyone realizes. Meanwhile, outside the storm continued raging softly across the night sky, almost as if heaven itself was mirroring the emotional chaos unfolding inside their heart. And then, Your soulmate noticed something else. The time on the phone screen. A number sequence connected to you. One they had seen repeatedly during periods when thoughts of you became overwhelming. Most people would dismiss it immediately. But when emotions are spiritually aligned, even small signs begin speaking loudly to the heart. Your soulmate took a long breath and closed their eyes again. And suddenly, for the first time in a very long while, they stopped imagining life without you. And started imagining life with you. Not fantasy. Not temporary emotion. Something real. Conversations that heal old distance. Laughter returning naturally. A reunion neither of you fully saw coming. The possibility alone awakened hope inside them so strongly it became impossible to push away. But with hope also came regret. Because they now recognize the emotional damage caused by silence. The missed moments. The hesitation. The fear-driven choices. There are things your soulmate wishes they had said earlier, truths they buried beneath ego or confusion because vulnerability felt too dangerous at the time. Yet tonight has changed something fundamental inside them. The mask is cracking. The emotional barriers are weakening. And the person who once convinced themselves they could move on quietly realizes they have been emotionally orbiting your energy this entire time. That truth humbled them deeply. Especially after recognizing one painful reality. You may not fully know how much you still mean to them. And that thought became unbearable. Because your soulmate suddenly understood that while they were hiding emotions internally, you may have interpreted the silence as indifference. But it was never indifference. It was emotional fear mixed with unresolved longing. And heaven knows the difference. As the minutes passed, they stared one final time at the message waiting unsent on the screen. Then something inside them shifted completely. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Quietly. Like a soul finally surrendering to truth. They no longer wanted another distraction. Another almost love. Another temporary connection pretending to replace what they feel for you. They wanted clarity. They wanted honesty. They wanted you. And just before their thumb finally moved toward the send button, a second notification appeared unexpectedly across the screen. What they saw next made their entire body go still. Because somehow, against all odds, it was connected to you in a way neither of you could have predicted.